Hello everyone, welcome to My Tech Pro Tips. Today we will be doing some installations, but first I want to do a quick review and unboxing of Extreme ATV Parts brass brake pads for a 2019 Can-Am Defender HD10, which should be the same for an HD8 as well, and I think 3 to 4 model years after 2016. So one important note for this product. It says here on the box and on the website, not recommended for prolonged dry or high-speed stopping, not recommended for sustained downhill stopping, off-road use only. So make sure you know what you're buying and what you're using it for. We do a lot of mud and water riding and sand and things like that. And these brass pads, I've heard great things about Extreme ATV Parts and Brian Kelly's business, and I've seen his products in use. So this is my first set of brass pads. So any good business always includes a sticker. So I will proudly display this Extreme ATV Parts sticker for a great company and local to Florida for all of us Florida boys. So here you can see the brass pads. So hopefully this will work out exactly like I think it will, and in the next steps we will show installation. And full disclaimer, I've never done a set of brakes on a Defender. So we will learn together, and this will be just like your first time as well, hopefully. And we'll walk through this process and see how much of a pain it is, or not. As you can see, the pads are actually different than what I just showed you. So I made an error, ordered online. The Defender Max has the same pads in the rear as the front. So I ordered the standard cab Defender pad set. So Brian Kelly worked with me, and I shipped the incorrect pads back, and he sent me the correct pads. Great customer service. Was able to turn that around in about 48 hours. So again, just speaking to how great Brian Kelly and Extreme ATV is. So moving on with an instructional video, just make sure that you read the description and you do not make the same mistake that I did. All right, so first things first. I always like to look at the service manual. It could help you out and save you some time. So here I've already found, here in maintenance procedures, brakes, page 118. So we'll flip over to brakes and we'll see what it says. Does it say anything about the pads? No, it does not. So typically you're going to find this in your service manual, not in an operator's guide or owner's manual. So just a point, don't go looking here for any information. So the first thing we're going to do is jack it up, and then we're going to take the tire off. This is a rigid 1/2 inch impact. It's actually the first time I'm using it with a 9 amp hour battery with a 17mm socket to get the wheels off. So here's our brakes. So as you can see, this rotor actually looks okay. All right, it's drilled. It's a drilled rotor. As you can see here that the pads look relatively thin. So I'm going to go ahead, since I have brakes, they've been squealing and grinding. So let's go ahead and see what they look like. I always lay my bolts out in the orientation that they come out. So they go back in the same hole in case they're cross-threaded. All right. So here's what it looks like removed. There's the rotor. there's the pads. So we're going to go ahead and take these pads out, put in the new pads. I also don't like to put a lot of pressure on the brake line. So what I'm going to do is try to brace this up a little bit, maybe with a jack stand. So hold while I do that. I don't like to put pressure on that in an odd way. So as you can see here, I have the new Extreme ATV brass pads installed here on my Defender on the left rear. I already installed these, but as you can see previously in the video, when I got to the passenger side of the buggy, I had major issues with breaking T30s off in these. So I'm going to take these back out and put anti-seize on them and put them back in again. So the next time I go to change the pads, I don't have to heat it up and use PB Blaster and uh, had the issues that I had. I'll also show you a little tip using a small screwdriver to get the bolt out. Here we go. So in reverse, I take this little tiny screwdriver and just ever so slightly put it in the thread and back out very slowly, and it will back this screw out enough to where you can get to it. You'll need to do this because there's not enough thread for it to bite on. All right, then from there, I have a pair of needle nose here with some electrical tape around it, and just get in here and pull it out. You kind of back it out, and then you can put a hammer, here, and you can beat on the needle nose. But in this case, I'm just going to put anti-seize on them. And obviously, as a disclaimer, you do not want to get anti-seize on your brake pads. So be very careful and aware of that. And as always, you'll end up wearing anti-seize, so make sure you have a rag to get it off. All right, now I'm just going to put these back in. A couple other chuggers, not super tight. They're just there to hold the pads in. And there we go. It'll be a lot easier when we do the brakes the next go around.